Shocking. I secretly bought a house. Then my daughter-in-law's devastating plot uncovered. The news spread like wildfire through the small town of Maplewood, igniting whispers and scandal. Just imagine it, Linda Parker, your average homemaker, quietly purchasing a quaint but peculiar house at the edge of town, right next to the ancient, gnarled oak that local children dared each other to touch after dark. It had stood there for centuries, dripping secrets like the creaking branches overhead. As the townsfolk spoke in hushed tones, the air thick with anticipation, they wondered what motive could possibly lie behind Linda's mysterious actions. You have to understand, that house wasn't just a real estate purchase. It sat atop a forgotten history filled with odd happenings and eerie shadows. Locals often said it was haunted, where lights flickered on their own and whispers echoed through the walls as if the house itself held a grudge. Kids claimed they heard a soft voice lull them to sleep, only to wake up in a panic, covered in the darkness of their own nightmares. And yet, Linda seemed charmed by it all, stepping into that house with more resolve than anyone expected. But then there was Sarah, Linda's daughter-in-law. The coffee shop where the townspeople gathered buzzed with the news that Sarah had been acting strangely ever since her mother-in-law made the purchase. Tension crawled through the cafe like a slow poison. "She's plotting something," murmured one woman, her brow furrowed with concern. "I can feel it in my bones." But what? What was Sarah cooking up in the shadows while her husband was away? Was there a deeper, darker reason for her cold smiles and secretive phone calls? The atmosphere grew electric, drawing everyone closer. Eager ears strained to catch each word like a prize. What did Sarah know? What secrets lay under the aging roof of that old home? Just then, Linda stepped into the cafe, her eyes wide and voice shaking. "You won't believe what I just found." "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Linda's words hung in the air, heavy with impending revelation. The locals leaned in closer, intrigued and anxious. She placed something on the table, an old key, rusted and ornate, glinting with a promise of hidden doors yet to be opened. Gasps erupted and a chill snaked down spines. What did it unlock? With a pounding heart, Linda looked around the table. I think Sarah knows. But did Sarah really have the upper hand? Or was it all just a tangled web ready to unravel? The room buzzed, leaving everyone hanging on that edge of discovery. What would happen next? Linda's heart raced as the murmurs swelled around her. The key she held felt like a ticking time bomb, and she could see the townsfolk's eyes dancing between curiosity and suspicion. What does it open? One voice broke through the clamor, cutting through her thoughts. I don't know yet, she stammered, feeling the pressure mounting. I just found it hidden beneath the floorboards in the living room. Her hands trembled as she clutched the key tighter, almost as if it could offer her comfort. The cafe grew silent, all eyes locked onto her. She could sense the collective breath of the crowd, each person holding on to their story, their theories. Had she unleashed something that should have remained hidden? With a steely gaze, Linda pressed on. I think there may be more to this house than I realized. Something from its history connected to Sarah. And the way she's been acting. Whispers erupted again, the air thickening with unsettling notions. As she spoke, Sarah stood at the threshold of the cafe, watching, her face unreadable. In that moment their eyes locked, and Linda felt an unsettling chill run down her spine. It was a confrontation laced with unspoken accusations. Sarah was no longer her sweet daughter-in-law. She was an adversary now, lurking in the shadows. Why did you buy that house, Linda? Sarah finally stepped forward, her voice steady yet sharp. What are you trying to prove? I'm trying to understand. Linda fired back, frustration swelling. You're not acting like yourself. Your secrecy, it's concerning. The townspeople leaned in closer, their hearts quickening, as if they were participants in a drama unfolding live before them. Concerning? Sarah scoffed, though her eyes were fierce. What's concerning is how you just waltz into that house, pretending to know nothing of its past. I've spent years trying to forget what happened there. Her voice dropped, tinged with a vulnerability that stirred a flicker of doubt in Linda's heart. What happened there? Linda challenged, her voice low, almost a whisper. The room became void of sound, the anticipation palpable. Sarah hesitated, glancing around at the curious faces before her, finally catching her breath. You really want to know? She sneered, but the flicker of something deeper appeared in her eyes, a hint of fear, perhaps guilt. That key, she continued, pointing a trembling finger at the old metallic relic in Linda's hand, will lead to truths you might not be ready for. I'm not the enemy here, Linda. The words hung thick in the air, coiling around the room like smoke. Linda's mind raced. What did Sarah know that could frighten her so? Just then, the door to the cafe swung open again, this time with the jingle of the small bell atop the entrance. The room turned and in came a stranger, an air of urgency swirling around him. He cast a quick glance at Linda, and a small, knowing smile crept onto his face. Perfect timing, he said, but before anyone could respond, he pulled out a worn envelope, holding it as if it contained the world's last secrets. Linda Parker? You need to see this, he said, locking eyes with her. A hush fell over the cafe, and Linda's heart raced more than ever. As she reached for the envelope, the air burned with a question that echoed louder than before. What awaited her inside this new twist of fate? And as she turned it over in her trembling hands, the question lingered. Was she ready to uncover the truth, no matter the cost? Linda felt the weight of the envelope pressing against her palm, a heavy portent of revelation. She hesitated for a brief moment, the room still and charged with anticipation. The stranger leaned closer, eyes bright with urgency, urging her silently to unveil whatever lay inside. With shaky hands, she tore open the envelope, the sound sharp and electric. Inside, there was a single sheet of paper, crumpled at the edges but strangely pristine in its importance. Her heart pounded as she unfolded it, her breath catching as the words came into focus. Linda, it began, if you are reading this, it means you've found the key. But beware, this is only the beginning. The house holds dark secrets tied to Sarah, ones she has tried to bury. Things have happened there that can't be undone. A wave of nausea washed over her. She glanced up at Sarah, whose face had drained of color, eyes now wide with fear. Suddenly Linda wasn't sure who was friend and who was foe. Who sent this? She demanded, focusing on the stranger. My name is Matthew. I was connected to the previous owner. There are things buried in that house that echo through generations. It's a real Pandora's box, he replied, his voice low, as he glanced around at the gathering crowd. Murmurs and gasps echoed through the cafe, a wave of unease that knotted her stomach. What do you mean, echo through generations? Linda asked, her voice practically shaking. The cafe closed in around them, the townsfolk leaning in, hungry for the next thread of this unraveling tapestry. Matthew tilted his head, his expression torn between sympathy and urgency. There was a tragedy, a loss that changed everything. Sarah's family has lived with the repercussions for years. She thought she could escape it by leaving that house behind. Linda's mind raced. Could this be why Sarah had been acting so differently? It was as if the very air around them thickened with the weight of history. What happened? She pressed, her voice trembling. Matthew's gaze dropped to the envelope in her hand. You have to understand. The key is just the start. There is a hidden room, something critical to understanding everything. Hidden room? Linda's thoughts spun, confusion battling the urgency of the moment. Yes, it contains evidence. Evidence that could unravel everything you think you know about Sarah, he whispered fiercely. But finding it may put you in terrible danger. If people knew, it could backfire in ways you cannot imagine. The burning question swirled like smoke in her mind, but fear wrapped around her heart like a vice. Sarah interjected sharply, her voice a knife cutting through the tension. This is insane, Matthew. You shouldn't be here peddling lies and old ghosts. You don't know what you're doing. Linda turned back to Sarah, a fragmented expression caught between loyalty and doubt. What are you afraid of? She challenged, the need for answers drowning out her fears. No, you need to walk away now, Linda. Sarah's voice cracked with desperation, but instead of retreating, her demeanor shifted. Something dark and stormy flickered in her eyes. You don't understand what you're getting into. The truth hung thick in the air, sharper than ever. Linda felt the pull toward the hidden room. one that promised answers but also threatened chaos. As she stood at the crossroads, enveloped in tension and uncertainty, she knew she had a choice to make. The key was now more than a simple artifact. It was a ticket to a long-buried truth or a potential disaster. And as she weighed her options, the very walls of the cafe seemed to close in around her, echoing voices from the past, warning her away from paths shrouded in shadows. "What will you do next, Linda?" Matthew asked, the question hanging in the air like a challenge. She glanced from Sarah's pleading face to Matthew's firm gaze. The stakes were higher than ever. A decision would shape her world irrevocably. The house, the key, the secrets, they all urged her forward. But did she truly want to unlock what was behind that door? In that moment she realized the most haunting question remained unanswered: who would protect her from the truth? Linda stood frozen, caught in a whirlwind of emotions as whispers swirled around her like a brewing storm. Matthew's words dripped with urgency, while Sarah's desperate eyes implored her to retreat. The tension was palpable, the air thick with secrets and dread. "What are you so afraid of, Sarah?" Linda asked again, her voice stronger now, cutting through the chaos. She needed answers, and the tight knot of worry in her stomach demanded clarity. "Because you have no idea what's at stake," Sarah shouted, her frustration spilling over. The cafe fell silent, all eyes now transfixed on the brewing confrontation. Linda could feel the weight of the community's gaze, a mixture of curiosity and judgment, sealing her fate. Sarah took a step forward, hands trembling. "You think you want the truth? You're too naive." Before Linda could respond, Matthew interjected, his tone grave. "Naivety is the least of her worries. There are people who will do anything to keep what happened in that house buried. We can't trust anyone," he warned, glancing around as if shadows lurked just outside the window. Linda's heart raced. What did he mean by everyone? The implication hung in the air, heavy with threat. She could almost feel the presence of unspoken fears creeping closer. "So what do we do then?" she demanded, her resolve hardening. "Do we just sit here and ignore it?" Matthew's eyes locked onto hers, fierce and imploring. "You have to go to the house, find that hidden room. The envelope was just the start. It may hold pieces of the past, but it's you who can put the puzzle together." "Together?" Sarah scoffed, disbelief etched across her face. "This isn't some mystery you can solve over coffee, Linda. This is real, it's dangerous." "Then tell me what happened." Linda's voice felt like an arrow, piercing the tension. Memories of Sarah's anxiousness, her restless nights, all the little signs that something was off were flooding in, drowning out doubt. As Sarah hesitated, her expression flickering between panic and determination, Matthew rushed in. "Trust me, Sarah. It's time to face it. It's been too long." "Face what?" Linda pressed, desperation surging. The silence in the cafe stretched, thick with anticipation. Sarah's gaze shifted, vulnerable, conflicted, as if she was weighing the consequences. "Fine," Sarah breathed, defeated, the fight draining from her stance. "You want the truth? There's been a history of darkness. My family tried to run from it, but it follows us. My sister, she died in that house and I was the last to see her." A gasp rippled through the crowd and Linda's stomach dropped. The impact of those words was like a punch, striking fear deep into her core. "What?" she whispered, struggling to comprehend the weight of Sarah's revelation. "You never told me. You let me think it was just some old house. Because it was easier," Sarah cried, tears threatening to spill. "I thought I could escape my past by running, by never looking back." The vulnerability in her voice was raw, but beneath it lurked a palpable fear. "Then we have to go back," Linda said, her heart racing, adrenaline flooding her body. She felt torn, both afraid and compelled, the call of truth pulling her toward an abyss she could not understand. Matthew nodded, gratitude mingled with urgency in his eyes. "But we have to be careful. We're not just opening doors, we're awakening memories that have claws." Before Linda could utter another word, a loud crash erupted from outside. Glass shattered like a dam breaking. The cafe erupted into chaos, and her heart lurched painfully. "Stay here," Matthew shouted over the noise, but it was too late. People were rushing toward the door. "Linda, we have to go. We can't stay here." Sarah pulled at her arm, panic evident in the wildness of her eyes. Linda felt the ground shift beneath her. The moment she had prodded for answers had now turned into a frenzied escape. "But what about the house?" What if they come for us? Trust me, we can't risk it. Sarah insisted, dragging her toward the exit, but a creeping sense of dread coiled around Linda's heart. What else was waiting for her in those shadows? Adrenaline surged through her as she tried to balance fear and her craving for truth. The weight of history was threatening to consume her, but just as she reached the door, she turned one last time. Matthew, what's really going on? Find the room. You have to uncover what's hidden before it finds you, he yelled just as the door swung wide, shrouding them in chaos as they rushed out into the night. Linda's mind spun. The darkness of the past loomed ahead, but the truth was drawing her closer than ever. What other horrors lay in waiting, and would the house reveal them before it was too late? The air outside was thick, almost electric, as Linda and Sarah darted into the night. The moon struggled to break through the dark shroud of clouds, casting the streets in a dim, haunting glow. Heart pounding, Linda felt the weight of Sarah's hand gripping hers, urgency pulsing through their veins as they hurried away from the cafe. What just happened? Linda gasped, her breath coming in sharp bursts. Sarah was silent, her eyes wide, scanning the alleys as if danger could leap from the shadows at any moment. I don't know. Felt like everything erupted because of us. The sounds of shouts and footsteps faded as they moved deeper into the night, but Linda felt an inexplicable pull toward the house, the veil of mystery that sought to envelop her. We can't just run. We need to go to the house. But why? Sarah cried, frustration etching lines on her pale face. After everything I just told you, you still want to step into that nightmare? Because the truth lies within those walls. Linda insisted, her voice steadier than she felt. Each word sent a ripple of fear and resolve through her core. If Sarah's sister died there, then someone was still lingering, shaping their past and perhaps their future. Okay, Sarah muttered reluctantly, taking a deep breath. But we prepare ourselves. We have to understand where we're going and what could be waiting for us there. They made their way toward the edge of town, the familiar path shrouded in fear. The quiet was unsettling, amplifying the sound of their footsteps. As they approached the house, Linda felt the chill penetrate her skin, a shiver that wasn't just the cold night air but something more sinister. The dilapidated structure loomed ahead, its windows dark eyes peering down upon them. The door hinged slightly open, inviting yet forbidding. You first, Sarah whispered, her voice barely above a tremor. No way, Linda shot back, her heart racing as anticipation mingled with fear. We go together. They exchanged a quick glance, uncertainty mingling with a shared resolve. Taking a deep breath, they stepped over the threshold into the dimly lit foyer. Dust motes danced in the faint light, years of neglect suffocating the air. Everything feels wrong, Sarah whispered, her voice thick with anxiety. Linda could taste it too, the heaviness of the moment, like walking into a freight train. We need to find the hidden room, she urged, pushing through the unease. Somewhere there's the key to all of this. As they made their way through the narrow corridors, their footsteps echoed. The wallpaper peeled like crumbling memories. Each corner they turned revealing fragments of a past that clawed at the silence. Wait, Sarah suddenly froze, eyes locked on a door at the end of the hall. It was slightly ajar, and a cool draft almost seemed to whisper from inside. Linda's heart pounded louder. That could be it, the hidden room. With trembling hands they approached the door. Every instinct told them to turn back, but there was no retreat now. The gnawing curiosity drew them closer. Linda reached for the handle, heart racing. Time seemed to slow as she pushed the door open, the creaking hinges breaking the stillness. Inside was a small, dimly lit space, cluttered with forgotten relics and heavy shadows. A heavy chest sat in the corner, dust-covered and defiant. With a deliberate motion, Linda stepped inside, every nerve ending alive with trepidation. What if there's someone? Then we have to be ready, Sarah whispered back, her grip tightening around Linda's arm. Linda approached the chest, a lump forming in her throat. The air felt thicker, charged with the weight of unspoken secrets. What awaited them? Could it be the truth? Or the darkness threatening to consume them whole? With a deep breath she reached for the latch. But just then the floorboards creaked ominously behind them. Every hair on Linda's body stood on end. Did you hear that? Sarah hissed, her eyes wide with terror. Run! Linda shrieked, but a figure loomed in the doorway, shadowed and ethereal, blocking their only escape. What were they truly unleashing? And who was watching from the dark? Linda's heart raced as she took a sharp step back, colliding with Sarah, who was frozen beside her. Panic rushed through them like wildfire. The figure filling the doorway was too tall, too still. An ominous silhouette framed against the dim light of the hallway. "Who are you?" Linda managed, her voice quivering. Every instinct screamed to run. But the figure didn't move, just stood there, shadows shifting around them like living beings. It was a hauntingly familiar presence. The way the figure leaned, the way the shadows clung to it like a second skin, it sent a chill spiraling down Linda's spine. "Stay back," Sarah shouted, trying to shield Linda with her body. "You don't belong here." Suddenly, a low chuckle pierced the silence, reverberating off the walls like nails on a chalkboard. "Oh, but I do," the figure said, voice smooth and snake-like. "This place has been waiting for you, for both of you." Linda's breath caught in her throat. It was a voice she recognized, and with horror, she felt reality unraveling like a thread at the seams. "Elena," she whispered, stepping forward boldly, an impulse she couldn't explain. "Clever girl," the figure responded, stepping into the weak light. It was indeed Elena, Sarah's sister, the very ghost they had been trying to uncover. But she looked different, almost ghastly, with a pale glow surrounding her and an unsettling smile that twisted her features. "Your sister is dead," Sarah exclaimed, her voice filled with disbelief, tears brimming in her eyes. "Is she?" Elena's smile widened, a chilling expression that made Linda's skin crawl. "I never left. I've lingered waiting for the truth to be revealed." Linda felt the floor sway beneath her, a sense of vertigo taking over. This wasn't just a meeting. It was a confrontation with the unknowable, and they were caught in the eye of the storm. "What do you want from us?" she asked, voice barely a whisper. "Everything," Elena replied, tilting her head almost playfully. "Your fear, your regret, your memories of that night." Sarah's breathing quickened, lost in the weight of the revelation. "You're not her. You can't be." Elena took a step closer, the shadows around her swirling in a threatening dance. "You will understand, Sarah. The truth will lead you to me, and the moment you grasp it, it may just destroy you both." Linda exchanged a quick glance with Sarah. They were teetering on the edge of a precipice, and the abyss beneath was burgeoning with darkness. "What happened to you? What really happened?" she demanded, desperate for answers but knowing that danger lurked in every word. Elena just laughed again, the sound echoing against the crumbling walls. "You'll come to find out, or perhaps you won't come out at all." With a sudden strangling darkness, the lights flickered around them, and the air grew thick, almost suffocating. The shadows pulsed, alive and aware. "Let us get out of here," Sarah screamed. "Not yet." Linda pulled her back, fear emboldening her foolishness. "We're not leaving without answers." In a furious clash of wills, Elena took a step forward, and the air crackled. Shadows slithered closer, invasive and hungry. "Do you really want to play with the past?" she taunted, the promise of revelation laced with malice. "Then open the chest." Linda's pulse quickened, her chest tightening as realization hit her like a fist. The hidden secrets awaited them. But did they have the strength to uncover them? "Don't!" Sarah shouted. Before they could react, the figure dissolved into a cloud of darkness, leaving behind a paralyzing silence that filled the small room. All that remained was the chest, its latch glinting greedily in the dim light, as if it held the very answers they sought, an invitation and a warning wrapped in one. A sense of urgent dread filled the air, gnawing at Linda's resolve as she faced the chest anew. "Are we really going to do this?" she whispered, a knot forming in her throat. But the weight of Elena's presence lingered, an echo of something she could not ignore. The truth only became more staggered, laden with consequences they could hardly fathom. They had to. No, didn't they? As her hand hovered above the latch, she realized. They were no longer just pursuing answers. They were spiraling into a nightmare they had barely begun to comprehend. What had they unleashed, and what other secrets lay in wait? Would they emerge whole or torn apart? The latch shined like a beacon, drawing Linda in despite the trepidation clawing at her. She exchanged another glance with Sarah, who was now gripped by a tempest of emotions. Fear and resolve danced in her eyes, but it was something else that lingered there, something like hope wrapped in a shroud of anguish. "Are you ready?" Linda asked, the challenge lacing her voice thin and fragile. "For Elena?" Sarah's lips parted, uncertainty cracking her resolve. No, I'm not. But we can't let her win. She can't just toy with us like this. With a deep breath, Linda steeled herself and pressed her fingers against the cold metallic latch. The room seemed to sway again, shadows flickering ominously as if echoing her decision. On the count of 3 she murmured, her hand trembling as it lingered before the chest. 1, 2. The crack of the latch echoed in the sore silence, a sound like bones breaking. Wait! Sarah shouted, but it was too late. The chest creaked open, releasing a rush of stale air, laden with unseen memories. A rush of icy wind swept through the room, wrapping around them like a suffocating blanket. Inside, nestled amongst withered papers, was a worn diary. Linen-bound with frayed edges, it felt alive, its secrets quivering at their touch. A familiarity flooded Linda's senses, a scent of old ink and a ghost of nostalgia. Elena S.? Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible over the frantic beats of their hearts. Linda reached in, pulling the diary closer, the dim light revealing ink-smudged pages and haunting sketches. The air thickened, almost electric, as memory crashed against memory. Open it, Sarah urged, eyes wide with determination mixed with dread. Unevenly flipping through the pages, Linda found Elena's handwriting, a chaotic scrawl layered with sorrow and rage. Fragments leapt at her loved ones lost, vengeance sought, twisted ties entwined with grief. The deeper she read, the more she was drawn into Elena's dark world. It wasn't just a night, Linda muttered, her voice wavering. It was the night. What night? Sarah leaned in, her breath shaky, fingers fidgeting at her side. Linda's heart sank, the weight of Elena's memories wrapping around her like a serpent. The accident, she breathed, realization dawning. The truth of why Elena lingers, it's all here. With shaking hands, she turned to a page marked with a crude drawing depicting flames. Lines of angry red crossed through the text, blotting out words that felt too raw to read. Anxiety surged within her. She blames us. That's insane. Sarah snapped, anger suddenly drowning out her fear. We didn't know. Linda interrupted, locking eyes with her friend. We did. We were there. We could have helped her. But we didn't. Sarah's voice cracked. We were just kids. A distant laughter erupted from the shadows, the sound chilling and echoing through the room like wind howling through dead trees. Can't you see? Elena's voice seeped into the air, dripping with malice. You've always carried this burden. It's time to face what you fear most. Without warning, the diary emitted a blinding light that enveloped them, pulling them deep into darkness. Linda! Sarah's scream pierced the veil of light, but Linda was already lost, suspended in a world where time twisted and reality buckled. What awaited them? Would they emerge enlightened? Or would they find themselves lost in the very shadows they sought to escape? In the depths of spiraling silence, another question emerged, insistent and scorching. Could they confront the truth, the painful legacy that tied them all to that night, and to Elena? As the light dimmed, a haunting whisper lingered. You think you can escape her forever? Welcome to the truth. Through the haze of swirling darkness, Linda felt herself drawn into a vortex, colliding with memories too painful to bear. She blinked, her heart pounding violently in her chest, as the blackness slowly receded to reveal an eerily familiar scene. They were back at their childhood playground, the swings creaking with a ghostly resonance as a chilling breeze swept through, ruffling their hair. The jungle gym loomed like a shadowy giant, silent yet looming, an uninvited witness to their past. Where are we? Sarah whispered, her wide eyes darting around in a panic. We're here, Linda stammered, realization weighing on her like lead. This is where it all began. A heavy silence hung between them, laced with memories of laughter turned to screams, of innocence lost. The swing set creaked again and both girls jumped, their bodies rigid with unease. Do you remember? Linda's voice trembled, her throat dry as she gulped against an onslaught of anxiety. The last time we were here, a sudden flash of a figure swept into view. Elena. Her silhouette stood motionless at the side of the playground, draped in shadow, her hair cascading like dark vines around her face. That same cruel smile carved deep into her features, twisting the memories into nightmares. Welcome back, Elena's voice purred, laced with honey-coated malice. You've come to play. Stop it, Sarah yelled, fists clenched at her sides, her face flushed. We're not here to play with you. Oh, but darling, it's exactly what you're doing, Elena replied, her laughter ringing like a chime of broken glass. Did you really believe you could escape? The past is a relentless friend. It haunts you just as it haunts me. Linda felt despair rising, a tight knot in her gut. We're not, but before she could finish, the playground morphed, the swings transforming into flaming ropes snaking toward the sky. The ground beneath them cracked, splits revealing gaping voids, shadows rising like hungry predators ready to devour. Elena, please. We didn't know. We were just kids. Linda pleaded helplessly, her voice breaking. Elena. Elena was never here, she hissed, her eyes flashing with a fire that sent shivers down Linda's spine. Only a ghost of your shame lives on. But I'm here now, ready to make you remember. Footsteps echoed around them, growing louder and louder. The laughter evolved into shrieks of terror as images erupted from the void, visions of that fateful night playing over and over, painting a picture of horror that Linda couldn't look away from. A flash of light, a sudden roar, and the gurgle of breath caught in throats. It all surged forward, vivid and smothering. Make it stop. Sarah was crying now, hugging herself. We can't go back there. Elena stepped closer, now fully illuminated in the flickering light. You can't run from the truth. One way or another, you will face the cost of your inaction. Linda grasped Sarah's hand, a defiant spark igniting within her. No. We'll break this cycle. We'll find the truth and make it right. Suddenly, Elena lunged forward, phantoms spiraling around her. The world began to fade, the playground dissolving into mist threatening to consume them entirely. Let us see how far you're willing to go for redemption. Elena bellowed as the ground beneath them shattered, dragging them into an abyss of swirling darkness. Linda's heart raced. They were plummeting, but somewhere in the depths of despair grew a flicker of hope, a rebellion against their fate. Would they emerge from the darkness, or would they be swallowed whole? The descent continued, and with it, a desperate question gnawed at them in the void. What sacrifices will they have to make to reclaim their freedom? What twisted truth awaited them below? The darkness enveloped Linda and Sarah completely, a sheer inky blackness that smothered light and sound. Every heartbeat echoed in Linda's ears as they fell, fear surging with each passing second. But just when she thought they might be lost forever, a bright flash illuminated the void. A cold gust swept through. Then, just as abruptly, they landed on solid ground. But this wasn't any sanctuary. Felt alive. The earth beneath their feet pulsed like a heartbeat, and the walls around them, carved from ancient stone, emanated a foreboding hum. They had entered a chamber, shadowed yet glimmering with a strange luminescence reflecting off the jagged rocks. Where are we? Sarah gasped, breathless and trembling, her eyes wide with terror. I don't know. But I think it's a pit of memories, Linda replied, glancing around the cave-like structure. Images flickered against the stone walls, fragments of their past, memories warped and twisted like ominous shadows dancing at the periphery of their vision. The air thickened, charged with an oppressive weight that made it hard to breathe. Each heartbeat mimicked a countdown. Remember that night? Linda whispered, her voice shaking. We have to face it. It has to end here. Sarah's expression hardened, the fear giving way to determination, but there was still a flicker of doubt in her eyes. This isn't just about us, Linda. It's about Elena. We can't let her win. Cold laughter echoed through the chamber, sending chills racing down their spines. The sound was all too familiar. Oh, how sweet, Elena's voice purred from the shadows. You think you can confront your past? Such naivete. There she stood again, materializing from the darkness, her cruel smile illuminated by the flickering lights. She wielded memories like weapons, and a shiver ran through Linda. It's time to play a game, Elena continued, her tone dripping with malice. The shadows deepened around her, morphing into ominous forms that echoed their fears. This game will test not your strength but your choices. Do you dare to uncover the truth, even if it breaks you? Before Linda could respond, the ground trembled, and a swirling mist erupted around them, pulling at them like a torrent. Linda felt herself being torn between her past and the future she desperately wanted. Nothing felt stable, and she grasped Sarah's hand tighter. What do we do? Sarah cried as the mist wrapped around their feet, dragging them down toward an unseen fate. Together, Linda shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. Whatever happens, we face it together. With a collective surge of defiance, they pushed back against the pull, their feet finding grip on the rocky ground beneath. They were not going to let this darkness consume them. But as the mist receded, a blinding light enveloped them, and in that gleaming ether, they glimpsed a vision, a reflection of their past, twisted into a horrific tableau. They saw the night, their screams, their betrayal, and the irreversible decision that shattered their lives. "Remember your choice," Elena whispered, and as her laughter echoed once again, the vision solidified, revealing a moment Linda thought she'd buried deep. "Linda, don't look away. We can't lose ourselves," Sarah urged, her voice breaking through the haze. But it was too late. Dread washed over Linda as the choice loomed in front of her like an executioner's blade. Would they confront the demons of their past, or would they choose to flee again, burdened by the weight of guilt and shame? Elena's eyes gleamed. They were on the precipice of something transformative. The question loomed. Would they find liberation, or would the shadows of their memories swallow them whole? As the light faded and the decision crystallized before them, another question whispered through the mist. How much would they sacrifice to escape their haunting history? Would they take the worst of the past to light the way forward? As the light dimmed, the weight of Linda's realization pressed down on her. She and Sarah were standing at the edge of their own abyss, facing not just the past, but the truth they had long avoided. "We have to confront this," Linda urged, her voice firm yet trembling. "We either face what happened or let it haunt us forever." "Together," Sarah echoed, her chin lifting with determination. The flickering shadows of Elena surrounded them, but instead of fear, fire ignited their resolve. They were ready to step into the darkness, holding fast to the promise of truth. With a deep breath, Linda stepped forward, pulling Sarah along. They walked toward the vision forming before them, a dark night in a forgotten alley, a party full of laughter that suddenly twisted into screams and chaos. Memories flooded back, the panic, the fiery accident, the blame etched deeply into their souls. They had run away then. Would they run again? "Look, there's us," Sarah shouted, pointing toward their younger selves, wide-eyed with disbelief, frozen in time. The flickering figures danced around the scene, shadows reaching out but never touching them. The agony of regret twisted their stomachs like a vice. "Remember why we left?" Linda clasped her hands together, squeezing Sarah's fingers. "We thought we could escape the pain, but look at us now." Looking back, the fear didn't protect us, it paralyzed us. "Linda, we can't change the past," Sarah whispered, her voice brittle. "What if it's too much? What if it breaks us?" "We won't let it break us. We will face this together. It's time to forgive ourselves so we can forgive Elena." The weight of their combined burdens pressed down heavily, but determination began to overshadow the dread. The air thickened around them as they drew nearer to the shadow of Elena in the vision, who watched with those shimmering, cold eyes. "Are you ready?" she asked, and the words dripped with mockery. "Prepare to fall into the abyss. Nothing can stop us from finding the truth," Linda shouted, her voice rising above the mocking din. The radiant memories peeled away like old wallpaper, revealing the darkness that lay beneath, a heart-wrenching reminder. The choices made, the innocence lost. As the vision collided with their present, the icy grip of regret clung to both of them. Linda could feel the crushing pain of memories, but it was almost freeing, as if they were shedding the old skins of fear they had wrapped around themselves for years. "Let us choose courage over fear," Sarah cried, gathering strength from Linda's steady gaze. They pushed through together, stepping forward into the heart of the vision. The world spun around them, colors blending and twisting, until everything fell silent. Time stood still as they found themselves in that fateful moment, back at that party, adrenaline roaring through their veins again. They were face to face with Elena, her eyes blazing with that same passionate fire, but somehow softer now, as if waiting for them to remember. "Why?" Sarah's voice broke the silence, trembling with vulnerability. "Why did you continue to haunt us?" "Because you never let me go. You left me behind in your memories," Elena said, her voice echoing softly, tinged with sorrow and a hint of hope. "I was lost in the shadows of your pain." Linda took a step closer, the air around her buzzing. "We had no idea how to carry your memory. We were kids scared of what we might be done. But we're not kids anymore. We can face this." "I've been waiting for you to find that courage," Elena replied, her features softening. "You can forgive yourselves. Only then will I find peace." Linda felt the shadows tugging at her heart, but now there was light. It burned bright, forcing the darkness back. Tears formed in her eyes as she realized the burden they had carried all these years. "We're sorry, Elena. We never meant to abandon your memory. We were afraid. I love you both." Elena's eyes glistened as the shadows began to lift. "Embrace the truth and we can be free." The swirling shadows dissolved beneath the light of forgiveness, and warmth flooded Linda's senses. She reached out, grasping both Elena and Sarah's hands, forming a circle of light that sealed the pact of their unity past, present, and the hope for the future. The last echoes of darkness dissipated, shattered by the overwhelming force of truth. They felt the walls of the chamber close around them, but instead of witnessing an end, they saw something new, a path unfolding into the light, a chance for a new beginning. "I'm ready to break this cycle," Sarah said, her voice steady now. "We can remember you, Elena, and in doing so we let you go." With that, a blinding light enveloped them, lifting them from the depths of despair. As the echoes of anguish fell away, so too did the churning weight of the past. They emerged into the night, the playground of their childhood glowing softly, now a sanctuary instead of a prison. This time there were no shadows pacing behind them, no haunting memories threatening to unravel them. It was a fresh start, a moment filled with the promise of healing. Linda and Sarah turned together, gazing at one another, relieved smiles breaking free. Hand in hand they walked away from the darkness toward the dawning light, leaving behind the shadows that once stole their peace. "Let us tell our story," Linda said softly, determination threading through her heart. "We can help others face their own nightmares." The world stretched before them, boundless and radiant, ready for the new journey ahead. It was time to take their place amongst the living again. Living not in the shadow of guilt, but in the light of memory and love. As they walked, a gentle breeze rustled through the trees, carrying Elena's whisper, now a tender reminder of courage and redemption, guiding them toward their future. Now it's time for you to be part of this journey. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on more exclusive stories like this one. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and keep our community growing. Flood the comments section with your reactions. What did you think of this epic conclusion? We want to hear your thoughts and theories. Don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful ending. Let us spread the truth and light together.